Hey there everyone, what's up? Back today with another impressions video, and today talking about another PSP game that is Shining Hearts. And this is another game in the Shining series. There's a ton of games in the Shining series, not all of well, the main Shining Force is like the main, I'd say, but Shining Force is a strategy RPG. This game, Shining Hearts, is not a strategy RPG. It's a different kind of thing altogether, but we will get into it. So yeah, this is the first Shining game released on the PSP. There's 3 total. I'll probably do impressions for all of them. I'm playing through the second one now, but this is the first one, Shining Hearts. And first, I guess, how can I explain this game? It is an RPG. But to give you an example, like the back of the box describes it as a slow life RPG. That's pretty accurate. This game, I want to say it's mostly like games in the Atelier series, or like those kind of crafting RPGs where you're running around collecting ingredients and, you know, making things, magical things, I guess. That's a lot of this game. The main part of this game is that, except you're not making potions or weapons or things like that. You're making bread. This is like a bread baking RPG. That's like exactly how I would explain it. You do a lot of bread baking and bread delivery and bread shop stuff. But let's talk about the graphics. I think it's a thing that people either really like or don't like. You can see a little bit of it here, but the art is by Tony Taka, who is like a kind of famous for like erotic art, I guess, erotic manga and erotic games. And he has a ton of games that are like 18 or older, kind of adult games. And now he's like the kind of main artist for the Shining series. So it is kind of like that kind of art. So like there's a lot of females, and they all kind of look like they're gonna take their clothes off at some point. They don't in this game, but it seems like, you know, that's what the art style is. It's not bad, actually. It's not horrible. I've played a lot of games with a similar kind of like sexy type of art style that have been way worse than this one. So I can't even like really complain about it. It's not bad at all. There are some like questionable scenes, but like besides that, like most of the time, it's actually done pretty well. So I'm not even gonna complain about it. It's actually not so bad. And generally, you don't even see that anyway. You don't see a lot of the characters because the game itself is actually done in 2D. So you have like little 2D sprites running around, and they're actually animated quite well, and it looks good. I mean, there's really little to complain about with the graphics for this game. It does look like a 32-bit 2D RPG, something you might have seen on the Saturn or something like that, and that's always something I can get behind. So it's nice. The kind of landscapes you visit, it's based on islands, so you're on one main island for a lot of the time doing your baking and stuff. But there are other islands you go to find, you know, various ingredients and continue the story. And what'll happen is, you know, they're pretty varied, but I don't know. They're varied. They look different, but they're not like super interesting. They're kind of generic in the sense that like you have, let's go to this island. It's like a polar island, and this is like a jungle island, and this is kind of a volcanic island, and this is a, you know, desert island. You have all these like different types of islands like that. So it's not like super interesting. but they all look nice, and you know, I don't really have anything to complain about the way they look. I mean, they could have been more interesting, but you know, generally it's not going for something like stylish or interesting. It's going for like a kind of fantasy landscape, and it does that well. So I can't complain about that. But this game does. We'll talk about the characters. Like I said, the characters they actually all look pretty good, but there's a lot of characters in this game, and you'll find that you'll never use a lot of them because you know it takes a long time to level characters in this game, and if they fall behind, like you're not going through and using all the characters all the time, you're just going to be like, I'm not going to use this character anymore because there's no point. They're too weak and it takes too long to level them up. So you'll kind of find your party pretty quickly and stick with it. That's what I did, at least. I switched. That's not true. In the beginning, I switched out a bunch of characters to see who I liked the most, and then I kind of found a party that I liked and then stuck with it for the rest of the game. Which, it's not that great, actually, because there were some kind of cooler characters that showed up later on in the story, but like they would end up being like leveled a bit below where I was, so it was kind of like, well, I could grind a bunch, but I'll just stick with my main characters. And that's kind of what happened with me. But the characters are, you know, they're pretty interesting. They're not spectacular, but and some of them are goofy, but you know, they're fun, and it's not like a terribly like serious RPG. There's serious parts, kind of, but for the most part, you are doing kind of like just running a bread shop. So how serious can it be? Let's talk about the way the game works. So you have battles and things. You actually do go out and fight stuff. It's not just the baking parts, but you will kind of go. The main thing you're going to start doing is baking. So you're going to be making bread and delivering bread, and I found like when I started playing the game, like it seemed like for a really long time that I didn't do anything besides like delivering bread and sometimes making some simple bread recipes. And I was thinking, like, is this game gonna be like this the whole time? Like, am I just gonna be... Is this like Sega Bread Simulator? Because that's kind of what it started to feel like after like a couple hours where I hadn't done anything yet. And that's really not even like a bad assessment of it, because a lot of the time, you know, you're doing quests, but you're just running around to different islands to find more ingredients, to make better bread, to do, you know, more bread deliveries and making more things for people. There is a story. It's not just this kind of bread making, but finding the stuff to make bread and delivering bread is like the vast majority of the things you're doing in the game. And so it is like I'm saying, it's a lot like the Atelier games, where you're kind of running around finding ingredients to make things. And there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different types of ingredients. It's kind of interesting if you like baking, which I kind of do. So it's kind of interesting, but it's not like it's not super compelling. And if you're not into that kind of thing, like finding how different types of ingredients work together, it's probably not the RPG for you. The battles, though, are standard kind of turn-based affairs where you have a party of 4 people and you fight. You know, you have like, you know, a front row and a back row, and the enemies have a front row and a back row, so you have to kind of build a party based around like who you want to put in the front, who you want to put in the back. I mean, you could just put 4 bruisers in the front and go all out. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do that, actually. But you know, it's not necessary to do that. I didn't do that. But there are some problems with the battle system in this game, and it's not that it's bad. It's just really simple. So for the most part, you can auto battle everything, And that's a downside because you'd think like, well, you can just auto battle everything. It's quick. It's not quick. Nothing in this game is quick. Slow Life RPG is on the back of the box. Remember, but the battles in this game are not quick. Not because the enemies are difficult. It's because there's so much loading. Everything is loading, and like you get in a battle and like you have to wait a couple seconds for it to load, and then you have to wait for like the everything kind of loads in layers. So like, you know, everything will show up. It's not like it loads in like, you know, something on what's it called? You know, like when the kind of textures kind of load in on things. It's not like that. Everything actually loads in all at once, except like all the graphics will load in, and then the music will load in, and then like the character actions will load in. So like after the things kind of load in, it's like this builds up on top of each other, and then every time you want to like do moves, there's like a little bit of a wait. So battles tend to take a long time, even like for simple stupid ones where you're just auto battling. Like getting the option to auto battle takes like just a couple of seconds. So you can't just like hit the button and put the PSP down and do something else. Like I was doing that, but like eventually you'll start getting combo attacks with other characters. So like you'll have to hit a button to confirm which character you want to do the combo with, and if you don't, it'll just like sit there running a clock for a little while, making the battle longer, and eventually it'll run out and just continue the battle without the combo. But it makes things even longer than, you know, they would normally be, which is long. So that was like one of the worst parts of the game, was all the loading, because I mean, I played the game installed. I installed it on the PSP with the install feature. I couldn't imagine how long it would take without the install, actually, because it felt long. Everything felt long, and like if you were in a battle and you were like, I'm not gonna fight these guys, it's gonna take too long and they're weak and they're gonna give me no experience. Like sometimes you know, you'd start the battle and it would load and you'd be sitting there for 10 seconds while it loaded the start of the battle, and then you'd like try to run away and you'd fail to run away, and then like all the enemies would attack. So that's like loading, attack, loading, attack, loading, attack, and then like you try to run away again and it fails. So like it just took so long, so many times, that it's like, you know, there were points where I was just like, you know, I'd get in a battle and I'd like wait for the auto battle prompt to come up, and then I'd just put it on auto battle and I'd leave the room and like go do something else, and then come back and like, all right, okay, I'm back into the game after like a minute, and then, you know, I just rinse and repeat that. And, you know, it wouldn't be that bad if there weren't so many like random battles. And like that happens not all the time, but some of the islands, it's like every like couple of steps you're getting attacked. And, you know, the problem, you know, it's not even like you're getting attacked till you're dying. It's just you have to wait all that time in between every one, so it just gets frustrating. And that was like kind of the worst part, I think, all the loading. But beyond that, you know, every character has their own like kind of set weapons and set kind of upgrade paths, so you can kind of craft weapons for them. That's another thing you can do, is craft weapons. Another character in the game will give you the option to craft, so you can like build armor and weapons for your characters. It's not even really necessary though. The game itself, not all that difficult. And actually, like, I think I died entirely. Like my party got wiped one time in the entire game. So it was like the only time I died in the entire game is like I hit an optional boss like towards the end. This is like at the end of the game. There's an option to fight a super powerful boss, and like it just wiped me in one round of like a full party attack. Nothing I could do there, but everything else, like I never died in this game. It was not difficult at all. And I think you know, you get a lot of bosses. There's a ton of bosses, and they're interesting and everything, and they all have their own kind of story, and some of them, you know, become your friends, and some of them, like, show up multiple times, and some of them are just kind of, the boss battles end up being like these, like, regular enemies times a million. So, like, you'll fight a full party of them, and then, like, it'll, like, connect to a second battle with more. So you have there's a bit of variation. It's not bad. The music is alright too in this game. It's not horrible. I didn't really like listen to it all that much. Generally, when I was playing this, I was like doing other things at the same time. So, because, you know, when you get into battle, it's just like auto battle and do something else. So this did. You know, what I was doing a lot of the time in this game was I'd get in a battle and I'd put on auto battle and I'd play like Mr. Driller on the Dreamcast for a little bit, and then I'd go back to the game. So I was like playing 2 games at one time. So what else can I say? I'm sure there's other things I wanted to talk about. You do have have a boat, so you can like go around. But I think this game altogether, it took me about 45 hours to beat, and that's long. I think you could probably beat this game much quicker than I did. I had it's like what happened was, in the beginning of the game is really focused on this kind of day-night cycle. So like as you pass the days, things happen. But I was like, you know, doing all this stuff where like I was running around doing all these like side quests and missions for people in the town, delivering bread and making bread and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of unnecessary. Like, I didn't realize it until I was about halfway through the game. So, you know, I played a ton of that time just spending all day and all night at doing as much as I could. And it just makes the game really long when I should have been just doing enough quests to fill a kind of meter to move to the next story point, and then just resting until I was could progress the story. And you can do that, so I didn't realize you could do that. I just didn't do it. So that was probably my own fault that it felt so long. And I'd guess you could probably beat this game in 30 hours instead of 45 like me. What else? There are kind of romance options in the game. You can kind of have like romantic options with the female characters in the game. I didn't really do a lot of that, but there's a benefit to doing it. There's like an actual gameplay benefit to doing it. You have, the way the game system works is like you have kind of 4 emotion meters. Like the hearts part of the Shining Hearts game is, which I should have mentioned a long time ago because it's kind of like the main function of the game. But you have these kind of heart meters that you use to do various things. So when there's like based on 4 emotions, so you have like this kind of happiness. I can't remember. There's like happiness. I don't remember what they are. There's like 2 good ones and 2 bad ones. There's like happiness, anger, fear, and love or something. And you have those 4 things, and every time some character in the game feels that emotion, you get hearts into your little meter. So you know, if you're fighting enemies and you kill some of the enemies, like maybe some of the other enemies will have fear, and it'll build your fear meter. Or sometimes you'll kill them and they'll be angry, and you'll get anger. And sometimes like the enemies will kill one of your, like, you know, knock out one of your party members, and then they'll all be happy, so you'll get happiness from you. Or you'll heal somebody and you'll get like kind of some kind of feeling from your party members for healing them. See, there's a lot of options to do that. Delivering bread will fill up the meters quick too. Eating bread will fill up the meters. It's a lot of it is bread based, and you use those hearts in battle to kind of use special attacks, and also you use the hearts to bake the bread. So every time you bake bread, you'll need a lot of hearts. So you have to, you know, do more deliveries and talk to more people to get more hearts, to bake more bread, to do more deliveries. It's never ending. So, but you know, it becomes like a total non-issue towards the end of the game, because once you start getting relationships with the people, like every time you're in battle, every time you do something cool, like all the people who you have a connection with will give you hearts automatically. So like you fill it up really quickly. And yeah, that's one of the main parts of the game. I can't believe I didn't talk about that right away. But yeah, overall, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good though either. Like I didn't find myself like towards the end. I felt like, God, I wish this would end. And towards the beginning, it was not what I was expecting. So I was expecting more. I don't know what I was expecting, but not this. And I think like I wasn't in the mood to play this kind of game, but I kind of just continued with it anyway, because I put in a bunch of time at the beginning wondering if like some kind of story was going to happen. But it didn't really pan out that way. There is a story, but it's like, you know, it's speaking Japanese, it's bread delivery based, and one of the main parts of the game, the like climax of the game, involves delivering bread. So, you know, it's not super serious or crazy. Like I mean, that main climax involves like a lot of boss battles and stuff, but you are essentially just delivering bread. That's it. I guess there's a lot of stuff you can do. I didn't mention also that you can go around and get a lot of side quests from people, and there's special side quests that give you special abilities and special items. So you'll find that like some of the you get quests from normal people in the town for usually deliveries, but there are characters you meet who join your party. But if you go and find them in the town and talk to them, they'll give you usually some kind of special quest. And sometimes they'll give you like there's a prince in the game who you can befriend, and he'll give you like songs to bake different types of bread. It's definitely, you should do his quests even if you don't have him in your party. There's kind of thieving quests where you have to go into dungeons or houses and try and steal things with one of the characters who's like a thief. There's a bunch of stuff there that you can get from each character, so it's pretty interesting doing that. And that was like some of the more fun parts of the game, I thought, doing the side quests, because there's usually no bread breaking or bread ingredient search. So yeah, but this has probably gone on longer than it should have. But yeah, this was Shining Hearts for the PSP. It's not that bad. I enjoyed it for a while, and then towards the end I kind of was just trying to rush through it because I was tired of doing it. So I don't know if I would recommend it all that much, unless the kind of, if you like those kind of crafting RPGs, you would probably like this though. I'm not like a huge fan, so it's not something I would like be totally down to play. But I am playing the sequel to this game, which is a totally different style game, and I'll talk about that probably next time or some other time soon. So that's it. That was Shining Hearts, another Shining series game. But yeah, that'll do it. I will talk to you guys next time.